Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about diversification of investments. So are you diversifying your investments? Italo, what about diversification, man?
Our grinder broke, so I'm going hand grinding today. So I'm diversifying the way that I grind, but I'm also being really diversifying my finances and stuff too, and it's been great.
So the whole episode in the beginning, you're gonna be just grinding the whole thing.
Oh, you know
then
it.
You're gonna show up here sweaty at the part.
No, this is actually really neat. I actually posted on our Instagram a little bit about this. This has been my best buddy, man. I take with me on my traveling, like on my trips, anywhere I go. This is my my helper in here, man. This is a lifesaver.
And today, in today's episode, we're gonna bring this guy here. He's the kings of notes. He's super experienced. He's been around the block. Let's get the show started.
Waking up to success, now we getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on, go and make coffee. The real grind, this is the real grind. Let's go.
Since 1980, Ed, he has dedicated his life to the note industry and expanding to his benefits of creative seller financing for both seller and buyers. Since early 2000, his training has helped thousands of real estate professionals, both realtors and investors. He has personally closed over 50,000 creative financing transactions. He reviewed close to 500,000 notes deals. And when it comes to creative finance and notes, it's safe to say that he has seen it all. Well, welcome to the stage, Eddie Speed. Let's go. What's up, my man? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Ed Speed, man, light speed. And I love this last part. It's like he has seen it all. And by the little bit that I talked to you, man, you know so much.
Well, sometimes seasoning matters.
Absolutely. Just being around and experience, it just counts, right?
Yeah.
And especially nowadays, right, we got a lot of people calling themselves experts in some niches, but like having a guy that's seen and it's been through the storms and, you know, and now we're going to talk today a little bit about, you told me it was in 1985 and 2008.
1980 when I started, yeah.
No, but 85 was the crash you mentioned.
The first crash here in Dallas-Fort Worth was 86.
86.
Yep.
The year I was born, man.
Yeah.
The word crashed.
We were getting ready for you.
And with no further ado, man, we would love to hear a little bit about your background, where you're coming from, your beginnings, man.
Well, I started in the business by accident. It was 1980. I was a real cowboy, right?
Yeah.
And so I met my future wife. We've now been married 40 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Right? Be 41 this July. So, yeah. And so I met my wife, and we were, her dad was in a specialty business. He had been a real estate investor, had multifamily, had trailer parks, had rental houses, did some, bought foreclosures. He was a very active guy. He was a fireman. Mm-hmm. He had just retired from the fire department, but had done it as his off job. And he really what happened in that process was I met him, and he said, "Son, I'm going to show you a way that, you can drastically change your life.
Create that generational wealth."
And I literally served an apprenticeship under them for a couple of years. Started out making $0, but they gave me a raise, and I made $300 a month. Yeah.
From 0 to 300?
Yeah. Best college I ever went to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we moved out here. We married in 82 and moved out here to Dallas-Fort Worth.
And where are you from originally?
Originally from Mississippi. Her and I were. I was from Jackson, and she was from a town about halfway to the Mississippi Gulf Coast called Hattiesburg. And
how was growing in Mississippi, man?
I don't know. I just grew up in a middle class, family in Mississippi. I was the youngest of 6 kids. I didn't know it at the time, but I had dyslexia, so I wasn't super studious. I flew through high school with straight C's, but you know, and it's funny, you know, now I look back and laugh and all these things that become a journey and stuff. And anyway, it was great. I grew up working hard. I worked in a cattle auction barn, so you know, like in the summertime, you know, it was hot, and you know, you're working the cow cells and doing all that stuff. But I learned how to work.
The work ethic was there.
Yeah.
And then when you moved to Texas, you had your internship with their in-laws, and
Yeah, I started with them in Mississippi. You know, I did
started
that
there.
for a couple of years in
Okay.
Mississippi. They were in this town, Hattiesburg. It's where they started, and so I worked for them a couple of years. And in that process, Martha and I continued to date, and then we got engaged. We married, and literally we had the U-Haul packed, and we got back from our honeymoon, and we drove to Texas, and we started the note business. We moved to Dallas-Fort Worth at the time because you sort of would move to the market,
yeah,
right? That wouldn't necessarily be true today,
sure.
but back then that was how it worked. And of course, moving here changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, I got to make great connections, and Dallas-Fort Worth was a very active real estate investor market. It was a financial services market.
Will you? So would you say that today about the real estate market in DFW?
Oh, you know, I mean, I would say the Dallas, I wouldn't say the Dallas market is in for a crash bigger than others.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's, you know, I think I would say to this about Dallas-Fort Worth, like people shouldn't be immune to think that we're immune to
We're
this market
invincible.
condition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I agree.
But, you know, I've seen a lot of cycles here. You got to remember here, I'd lived here like 4 years when the market crashed. I mean, really crashed.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've lived through a lot of cycles that, you know, things change and stuff. I think the one thing about experience is it makes you more attuned quicker to what's happening.
Powerful.
And we have a school. You know, we have a school. We teach people how to do this. And so in order to do that, we're in the information business. So we scrape a lot of data, and we have a lot of news feeds, and, you know, we have a lot of reasons that we want to feel like we're on the edge of knowing where the market's going.
Sure. And a little bit going back for beginners, explain a little bit what the note business are, and in a short time, like what is the note business?
The simple answer to notes is everybody in your audience has been in the note business because they've either written a check or they've taken a check. And a check is nothing more than a note, right? It's a promise to pay.
Yes.
Now, the notes I buy are notes payable over time with interest secured by real estate, right? But I'm in the discount note business. Now, what does that mean? Let's just say that I wrote you a check for $1,000 and you didn't have a checking account. Let's just say that you went to one of these check cashing services.
Sure.
You take your $1,000 check and you lay it down and you endorse the back of the check, basically transferring the ownership of the note to the check cashing service. How much are they going to give you? Are they going to give you $1,000?
Yeah, probably not.
No. They're going to give you $850, $900. They're going to give you less than the amount of the note, the amount of the check. Right?
Kind of all the
That's
risks
that is a discounted note.
Yeah.
So I buy real estate secured loans, just like the bank, payable over time with interest at a discount.
And why would the bank sell it to you, or the notes gets transacted?
Well, in the bank's case, when they sell notes at a discount, they've probably already taken a discount on the note. They've already written it down. So they've already financially prepared for the discount that they're taking. In other words, they may have a $100,000 note, but it's not on their books at $100,000.
Yeah.
It may be on their books for $80,000. So, or an individual that's seller financed a property. And in this case, they've seller financed a property, and they agreed to collect payments over time, but maybe they want to cash in early. And so there's a lot of reasons that people would sell a note. The inventory of notes now, let's just take this point in time compared to where we were even a year ago. If a year ago, which wasn't good then, there wasn't a lot of notes available. You know, when the market is really, really good and financing is really loose and available and stuff, then the note inventory kind of dries up. So last year we might have been at a 2, right? Which was a low for us for many, many years. This year, I would say we're at a 7 or maybe even growing to an 8.
Oh, wow.
And we see the runway ahead of us of being that good. So when the banks are struggling, this is the great alternative.
So what is the criteria for a note? Is that a multifamily sector or different assets, or is that a price range, or is that, elaborate a little bit on what kind of asset of real estate is that you guys do it, or
So in pure numbers, we have bought more notes on houses or land than we have any other asset class, pure numbers. But I bought notes on everything you can imagine, from, commercial, office, strip centers, multifamily, storage, any of those things we have done. And as those markets have struggles, then there's more notes that are available in those asset classes. So we're sort of looking into the market today, with the commercial real estate situation, knowing that we'll do a lot more notes on that asset class in the next, call it 4 years, than we would have in the last probably 8 years.
Interesting. And do you guys, is that any kind of, I don't know if this is the right terminology on your or that note industry, but syndication for the notes, is that something that people do that? Because I know that it could be easier to do that for a house, write a $1 million check, but let's say it was $25 million or more. Is that a kind of a pool of investors, or?
Yeah, syndication is typically where you're acquiring a specific piece of property.
Yeah.
Right? But there are a lot of people that do note funds. You and I have mutual friends.
Yes.
That are in the process of forming a note fund right now. They've been in the multifamily space, and they're
so basically they pull a pool of investors. Let's buy this note together.
It's a capital fund.
Right.
They take accredited investors, and they put those investors into a fund that specifically is designed to buy and hold notes or buy and resell notes.
Right.
And we help people a lot with those processes.
Both ways.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to get more details of this, because I'm actually like this. I'm not too familiar with the notes, and my story and with the real estate started very accidentally as well. But I would love to keep talking. But guess what time it is?
Coffee time?
It's coffee time.
Beautiful. How about that?
How's it going, Eddie?
It's good.
Good to having you here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So, did I hear this right? Were you a cowboy back in the day?
I was a cowboy, yes.
Let's go.
So that's super cool. Like when I moved to Texas in 2010, didn't know anything about Texas, right? Just knew everything that I seen on the movies, like the stockyards looking thing, the cowboys and all that stuff. But one day I went to the chiropractor, and the guy is like, "Oh, you're here because you're a bull rider?" I was like, "No, I play soccer." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "All the Brazilians that come here are bull riders."
That is
so
true.
I did not know the size of the Brazilian community in Dallas. There are cowboys,
big time cowboys.
So
mega world's champions in the world of riding bulls. Now I wasn't a bull rider; I was a roper. But yeah,
he's the one that, like, whenever the cattle runs away, and you're just like,
yeah, you got to catch them.
Hey, man, I met a few guys there. He was like the road riders. They were ballers, like owning restaurants and farms in here. And I was like, man, what these guys do? And I was like, they were bull riders,
yeah,
man.
the PBR pays a lot of money.
Big time.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So, Eddie, let me ask you this. You're a coffee guy?
Yeah, I love it.
From 1 to 10, how much you love it?
Man, I think I'm an 8.
Ooh.
Oh,
Brought you
Yeah.
something good. Have you had specialty coffee before?
You know, I have, but I don't know that, at you guys' level, I don't know that you would say it was that special.
Was it good?
Yeah, I love
So it
it.
wasn't special for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what I brought here for you today, Eddie, this guy is from Brazil. I was just there, my grandma's birthday, and I had it once, and I had to bring more of this with me. It's specialty coffee because it's handpicked. There's a whole process behind it. So this is every bag of specialty coffee. There's a lot of work put behind it. So
and a story.
in the story. And usually, like on the bags, you can see the stories of them. You want to give it a try in this Portuguese in here?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Just kidding. But I would love to have you try
Okay.
some of our coffee here. So I brought you just a little, but if you want more, I got you more.
Okay.
Neander, here's some
So
for you.
right off the hospital, I
Excellent.
he jumped the gun a little bit.
I love it. Like, he's excited all the
Yeah,
time.
he's like, take no time, let's go.
But let me give this a shot too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it tastes like.
So actually try this again. Now you're gonna slurp like your mother would tell you not to do.
like, give it a good smell.
Like big slurp.
And then big slurp on it.
Big slurp.
Now let the coffee goes on the sides of your tongues and
You're going to get more different notes in there. Was it?
It's like wine tasting, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah,
it is.
it
It is. It is 100%.
This is really good.
Do you drink coffee with sugar usually?
No, just black.
So how is that different from the coffee that you usually drink? So I can understand.
Certainly richer.
Really?
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
The reason it's like I said about wine, coffee tasting, it's a big deal, man. There's now it's getting bigger and bigger. And the way we prepare, like they have the right temperature, the right amount of beans and how they roast it, all that process.
Totally.
And you can actually taste notes of stuff, like this one is, what is the notes in that one? It's
This one would
caramel.
have chocolate. There's this type of grass in Brazil that we call the lime grass. It really smells like lime. It's amazing. Coconut, nuts, sugar cane, and that's it for this one. But it's very light. And the good thing about this type of coffee, which is different than the store-bought coffee, is that depending on the amount of coffee that I use on the filter, that's going to differ on the cup. So if you want something lighter, I can make something lighter. If you want something a little more bold in the morning, you can do that too. But that's so cool,
All
man.
with the same beans.
All the same beans. And there's so many different ways and methods of making this same coffee that is in this bag in here, and you can get different notes and different flavors from the coffee just based on how much coffee grains you use, the type of grinding method, all these different things. And it's a little rabbit hole. Let me put it for you that way. This guy created a monster, and now he's having to feed it.
It's now like we cannot talk coffee with Italo anymore. It's just a different level, man.
It's different.
But I want to shout out to my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law is here today in the audience. They are watching. Go give them a little bit of coffee, man. They came from New York. They're visiting us.
Ooh.
Awesome.
I definitely got them some coffee. I'll bring out some
Yeah,
coffee in a
yeah.
little bit. That'll be awesome. But Eddie, so from 1 to 10, what's your score on that one? Be honest though. This is the real grind.
He's gonna try it again.
I don't know how it could be less than a 10.
Ooh. Well, shout out to the guys at Ruma. You just got a 10
Just got a 10.
from Eddie Speed. And Eddie, before I leave the stage, I'll exchange you.
Beautiful.
You're going home with a little something,
Thank
something.
you
So whenever
so much.
you bet. So whenever you drink
Yeah.
coffee at home,
Yes, sir.
there's a nice.
My wife will
mug.
be excited about that.
Oh, there.
I
Oh, so you
guarantee
already
it.
lost your mug.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So if you want, you can put it here. If you want to
Okay.
keep sipping on it, very up to you.
All right.
But Eddie, once again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for
Thank you.
trying my coffee. And I'm going to be over there and listen to your story, man. It's been great so far.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, real quick before we continue. So if you want to learn a little bit more how to get started on investing in real estate today, please go to the website multifamilyempire.com. And if you also want to learn how to do the best cup of coffee in your own home, we're going to teach you a lot of tips and tricks. Go to multifamilyempire.com/forward The real grind. Let's get back to that interview. Now I'm happy. It's Saturday morning. We're recording the show. Now,
Yeah.
I had no coffee up to now. Now we're good. Now we can talk for hours.
That's it. I love it. Nothing more I like to do than talk about this business I stumbled into now 43 years ago.
Yeah. And you seem very passionate about it, man. And and I love that enthusiasm. Talk a little bit about the educational part of it now that you do for
Sure.
your students and for, helping others to achieve that level of success.
So 20-something years ago, I decided that I wanted an educational platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for people to accidentally get in this business and have a ton of success, right? It's easy for somebody to get in the business once they're taught how to go do it.
Sure.
Right? And most of our students come from real estate investing backgrounds. The one common thread is most people are comfortable with real estate because if you're looking at it, you're buying a loan secured by real estate.
Right.
And that loan you may be only invested $70,000 and the property's worth $120,000 or triple those numbers, whatever it may be, right? Just easy math. But the idea here is, you're looking to get a payment every month. And so a lot of real estate investors tend to enter in this business, after they've done some form of real estate. And it is a perfect kind of match for, what you do, which is multifamily. So some people have a combination of investments. They'll own some notes, and then they'll own, interest in some multifamily stuff, and that's a good thing. Multifamily syndicators are now trending to our business.
Understand.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And so it makes a good combination. You don't have to just own notes. Most people that do the business well have some real estate investments as well. So, it's a good diversity.
Absolutely. And that's what I started the show saying about diversification. Because sometimes we just caught up to too much like, oh, this is what I do. And, but as far as investments, we go through cycles or any kind of investments, right?
Yeah.
And there's risks in every kind of investments. When you diversify enough, that makes it safer because you win and probably doesn't do that good over here. But on overall, you just create that generational wealth for.
Well, and you can be opportunistic. When you have a vision of different things that you can do,
Sure.
then you can look into any market and say, this is a big opportunity. Like a lot of people are kind of looking at the market ahead, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's, it was booming. It was unbelievable. Now all of a sudden, not so much. And what do? Well, what if you knew how to make a lot of money in a down cycle? Which
True.
is kind of what I know how to do.
Right. And talk about knowing it all. Talk about those crashes there on the real estate on 2000, on the 80s and on the 2008s.
Well, there's similar things in all of the cycles.
For the note business.
Yeah, similar things in all the cycles. In the 80s, the crash was around lending institutions. It was around the banks, savings and loans and banks, which is where I believe that the market is leading us now, right? And those banks made loans and the market dropped and they were taken over by, the FDIC, the FSLIC, banks and savings and loans. And it was so big, they even had to form their own entity called the Resolution Trust Corporation, the RTC. And to be perfectly honest with you, that was a heyday for us. We understood buying notes, and there was a huge abundance of notes, and we did it. We bought notes that were paying. We bought notes that weren't paying. Now, I will say this. We're buying notes in a market where real estate was declining in value. So you had to kind of read the fade, read the drop, right? In other words, if you bought a note today, the collateral might still go down in value. But that proved to be, the practices that we developed proved to be true. And we come out good.
Yeah.
And the 2008, which is the most present in everybody's mind, we're not going to see a 2008 in the residential space.
Sure.
So people are kind of like, well, what's going to happen to houses? The predictions are the hedge funds, the analysts that we believe that really have the smart data that are looking at data that's driving decisions, not emotions. We're going to see a decline in value, but not terrible in the residential space. I wouldn't say the office space is so protected.
Yeah. The reason I asked that is because on your perspective of the note business, but on the real estate business of people buying for multifamily, even single family, prices dropped, and that was huge buying opportunities for that purposes. And some people became like extremely profitable or wealthy during that recession, right? So we have to look at both ways of, when there's recession, and we try to tell our investors is like, yeah, there's going to be one. There's no way, but, as also as operators and as a sophisticated investors, you got to understand what the market is and strategize, be conservative,
Yeah.
and, other than just being too aggressive. That's awesome, man. And how can people get in contact with you?
So what we've done is we have a little master class that just kind of tells the story of buying notes and how that might look, and some very creative leveraging techniques. So you could literally take some money like $1,000, but own an interest in a note, right? That could turn into $100,000, literally. And so we have a master class, and we do sell this class, but I wanted to give it to your audience. You're so gracious to give me the great gifts and coffee and your beautiful studio and stuff. So it's going to be noteschool.com/listen to this /grind.
Ha ha! Let's go. We just found ourselves some partnerships over here. That's awesome. And by the way, guys, there's going to be a link down in the comments, so you can definitely have all his information. And I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody's going to like it.
It's good. It's a couple of hours, and it really paints a really good introductory picture of what a note is and how it works and how it might work for you. So some real stories about how it works for us.
And I would like to actually take it myself. I'd love to get more educated on the note business and, diversified our investments.
I bet you it would be really opportunistic for you.
Great. I have something fun that somebody told me, that you know how to do tricks with belts.
Oh, I bet I know who that someone was.
Okay, so how can we get you to do a trick with belts?
All right.
Do we need a belt?
No, I've got a belt that'll work.
You got a belt that'll work?
You want to see it?
We want to see it.
All right. So there's no trick to this belt. This is just my Western dress belt. Right?
All right. It matches his boots, though. It's beautiful.
So I bring it up. Oops, it fell out. I bring it up. I'm not.
Oh,
Wait,
look
what?
at that. How'd you do that? Do that again.
I bring it up. I normally never miss. I guess I'm nervous. Am I nervous?
There you go. Very good, man. So that is also going to put a link here for this, to teach you how to do this belt.
How did you learn how to do that?
I'm a roper, and I spent a lot of years of my life roping. And so what I did was just a technique of really just kind of knowing how to, control your hand, and you're dealing with a rope.
You know what I think is fascinating? When you're roping and you're on top of the horse, and you like it's actually smokes come out of it, right? When you're in a horse.
Well, that's the Mexicans that do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe there's some of the boys down in your country. We don't want any smoke coming from ours.
There's
but,
no smoke. Okay,
yeah, they're using rawhide. Yeah, that'll like get your hand really bad.
It's one of those things, right? It's like it's the total different word, and we just butchering it off.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Dude,
but no, it's fun, and I did it for a long time, and it was a fun part of my life. So I'm old. I'm kind of a has-been now. I'm old, but
So when I right off the hospital, my dad, he used to own a farm. He has cattle
Yeah.
in Brazil. So that was my beginnings too, man. I love the country. I know horses, cattle. It's awesome. We quickly moved to the city. I'm being a city boy, but that was my beginnings. We have a small coffee farm, but like I love
Yeah.
country, the horses, all that stuff, man.
yeah.
And well, this is the part of the show that people are gonna know a little bit about you. We're gonna ask you some questions. This is Spilling the Beans with Eddie. Let's go.
All right.
Leather boots or Louis Vuitton sneakers?
Oh, leather boots.
We had this conversation prior to this, and it's like, you're not gonna show up on your sneakers, aren't you? I was like, no, sir. Alan Jackson or George Strait?
George Strait. Love both, but George Strait.
All right. Pulled pork or smoked brisket?
Smoked brisket.
Ah, nice. F-150 King Ranch or Tesla Model S?
That's not even a question. That's not even a question.
Come on, it is.
F-150 King Ranch, of course.
Let's go. Let's go. Deer hunting or dove hunting?
I love both, but deer hunting.
Okay. On the real estate, retail or multifamily?
Multifam.
Right. All your exes live in Texas or Mississippi? That's we'll go put these questions together. That was a joke.
Yeah, well, I've been married to the same pretty lady for almost 41 years, so I better stick with her. She's from Mississippi, but she's definitely not my ex.
Let's go. Nice. Last but not least, NASCAR or monster trucks?
I'd say NASCAR.
There you go. That is like completely the spitting the beans with Eddie. Speed. Let's go. That was super fun. The F-150, I was like, come on, man. Maybe he's a Chevy guy.
No, I'm a Ram guy.
You're a Ram guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love F-150s. I'm all good with that. I got one of those too at the ranch.
Oh, you got the ranch?
Yeah.
Where's your ranch at?
Up in Nacona,
It's
about 90 miles north of here,
Oh,
north
nice.
and west. Yep.
So I told Dad all the time, she's against it, but I was like, I would love to have, because our little coffee farm is so far away. Probably for me, if I leave now, it takes me 24 hours to get there.
Yeah.
In a couple flights. But I would love to have something, outside of Dallas that I can drive on the weekends and just chill, man.
Go to the ranch for the weekend. Yeah. Well, you're just in luck because I can fix you up. So we have a land business up there also. I have a great partners up there, and we sell country land to people that are from Dallas-Fort Worth that want to go to the ranch for the weekend.
That's awesome, man. I wanted to we have a big RV, like a diesel pusher. And
Oh, yeah.
love to get out there and park it until we build something. But hey, let's talk, man. But look, if you can tell camera 3 over there, if you can talk to yourself, the Eddie from the beginning, what advice would you give it to him?
The biggest thing that I would say is there's good information out there today. Don't get surprised by a market. I've taught thousands of real estate investors this creative financing strategies. And I would say don't get surprised by the market. There's so much good data today that wasn't available back then. And the second thing I would say to you, as you run your business, know your numbers. We love these businesses, but the most thing of all that we do it to make money, and we have to know where we are. The biggest mistakes I've ever made in business is not knowing my numbers. What I thought were numbers weren't necessarily numbers.
That's powerful. I love that statement of knowing your numbers, and that I actually was in this mastermind, and I was speaking, and I told them like a lot of entrepreneurs when they start businesses, they receive those checks, and they think I did that mistake myself.
Yeah.
My first business got the big check. I thought it was rich, and then when you really true all your numbers, your expenses and stuff. So knowing your numbers and underwrite your business. Just like we do for those properties, right? To you,
The genius of a deal is long term. Short term victories are great, but long term is real success, and that's why knowing your numbers are important. Because sometimes you can have what looks like a great deal, but it's sort of temporary, and just nothing more to be said. If I looked at all of the mistakes I've seen people make in the business, usually not knowing the numbers was the biggest factor.
absolutely. That's a huge advice. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, your knowledge with our audience, Eddie. We admire you. Your how far you come, and you're now helping others to achieve that level of success that you achieved. That is something that I really appreciate, and I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the show. And this is the Real Grind.
And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening to the Real Grind podcast. What a great story by Eddie, right? So remember, Eddie gave you a gift. So the link is gonna be down below. Make sure you go check out his website and make sure you're taking notes, no pun intended. As always, stay creative, just like I did today. If you're running out of ideas or anything, creativity, get creative financially on your life, everything else. And as always, we're available on Facebook, YouTube, your favorite podcast platform. Thank you so much for following us, giving us a thumbs up. And as always, this is the Real Grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success. Now we getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee. The real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.